Hey, Bob, introduce the show, please.
Hello, this is Jeff Frumess for the Jeff Frumess YouTube channel, 31 Days of Halloween, which is something he's going to commit to every year without question, and he's going to do it constantly because it's so easy to keep up with. Hello, welcome.
My God.
I don't like introducing podcasts.
Why did you do it? I wasn't expecting you to actually do it. I did
it sarcastically as a joke.
I know it was a fun. I thought it was a funny joke. I thought it was hilarious.
If you listen to Writers Blockbusters and you hear me go, "Hey, welcome to Writers," every time it sounds like I'm being sarcastic because I don't want to do
it. What was I going to say? Yeah, this has been, I'm not going to lie, this has definitely been a trudge this year for, as I was just explaining to Bob, why it's been a bit of a trudge. And I don't know if I will change the format next year. I'm still going to do it. It has to be more fun than it is now. It is fun. I am having fun, but
it's definitely fun. And I've had fun being a part of the few I've been on, but I would recommend maybe doing like every 3 days, you do a catch up. Instead of doing 31 days or something. I was
thinking like a week, every
or
week.
A week. Yeah. Do something like that where you just talk about everything you watched or something. But because every night, man, that's a lot, dude.
It's not just one. Sometimes I'm doing 2 or 3, and then I got all the uploading and the thumbnails. It's just, it's nuts, dude.
Right.
The last 2 Octobers have been very, very busy. We just had Bob on for Exorcist 3. I highly recommend you check out this magnum episode, because at the end of the episode,
when we were done talking about
and we brought up Star Wars, and that unleashed a furious debate, a passionate, furious debate. It's a phenomenal debate. I think
so. Not Halloween centered at all.
It's not how. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. I'm going to split it off. I'll probably throw it up by itself in November and whatnot.
That's fine. Whatever works.
It poses interesting questions. Check it out. That was that. And Bob also was on for Werewolf by Night as well. So this is your third.
And I was on for, that's not 31, but I was on for the third favorite horror movie one before this started. Right?
Well, that was leading us in, and we have to, which reminds me, the next time Bob will probably be on will be something like some sort of top list. Bob, if you want to think of something that interests you,
it's not horror based. It's just another top.
Oh, okay. It could be horror based. It could be.
I mean, here's the thing: is me, Jeff. Every time you say you want to do something, I'm always like, "It's your show. Please tell me," because on my show,
I want to. I have a hard.
Sorry, I know, but I have a hard time coming up with shit for my stuff. So I don't want to come up with anything. Just tell me what to do.
Fair enough. I'm sorry. You know what it is?
No, I'm not mad. I'm just saying. Like, that's the reason I'm reluctant. Is like
I'm coming from the other side of like, Bob always is on the show, and he always goes with the flow. And I thought maybe he would appreciate it if it was something that he was really into, like something that he was very interested in, that he personally wanted to talk about. Because I don't know, I just figured that would be. But listen, if you prefer to have your brain off, I'll just be like, okay, Bob.
Well, I don't have my brain off during the discussion. It's just
no, I know. But like, thinking of it,
tell me what the topic is, and I will join in as best I can. That's what I'm more about. I think.
Okay, there's going to be a top 5 list. We're going to do a top 5 list at the beginning of November. I don't know which one it will be. We're going to be doing a top 5, and we're going to be playing the game that we played last time, where we can knock each other out, because it's.
As long as it's not like top 5 Game of Thrones episodes, I'll be fine.
It's cutthroat. It's cutthroat and fun, and I like it.
There's certain things I refuse to watch, and I'm never watching Game of Thrones, so don't make me.
Yes, he is going to watch Game of Thrones. But we'll discuss that later. Yes.
I will not be watching it.
Sure you will.
No.
Anyway. We're talking about Frankenhooker tonight, Frank Henenlotter.
Yes.
I am a passionate lover of Frank Henenlotter films. A few introductory statements before we dive into Frankenhooker and its madness. The biggest crime, the biggest tragedy surrounding Frank Henenlotter, and this truly is a tragedy in my opinion.
I love that Frankenhooker, Frank Henenlotter. Like, it's
I know, right?
It's his fucking name.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The biggest crime is that he has not made more movies.
His
There
IMDb is very short.
There should have been there should be a Frank Henenlotter for every year of the 80s. Starting after Basket Case, he should have been. And the reality is, I'm sure that if Frank heard me say that just now, he'd be like, well, it wasn't like I wasn't trying. It just, movies cost money. Basket Case, he did Basket Case for $32,000 in 1981, 82. And I don't think you realize that sounds like a lot of money, and that sounds like a lot of money by today's micro budget standards. And today, I know that I could probably make a couple of movies, and I know Bob could make a couple of movies for 32 grand. However,
I can make a movie for $300 if you really ask me to.
To make a movie, a movie on film, in the 80s for $32,000, and what he accomplishes, what he's doing in that movie, it's unbelievable. So that's the type of ingenuity. So if you even give Frank Henenlotter, tens of thousands of dollars, he'll turn something out. But it took him upwards of 5-6 years before he was able to get another bite of the apple with Brain Damage. And then shooting he shot Basket Case 2 and Frankenhooker back to back. I always thought Basket Case 2 and 3 were shot back to back, but I guess I was wrong about that.
But it was those two. It was Frankenhooker and Basket Case 2.
Yeah. I just always thought, because it's the exact same cast in part 2 and 3. So I always assumed that, and they look like they were shot at the exact same time, but I guess they were not. And Frankenhooker evolved out of a pitch. He was pitching, or he was trying to get money for Basket Case 2, I think. And what happened was they were like, what else you got? And he just pulled Frankenhooker out of his ass. He literally, in the pitch room, just thought, oh, this is the idea. And then when they said, we'll give you money, he went home and wrote a script called Frankenhooker. However, I'm going to introduce a very whatchamacallit, a controversial idea here.
Okay.
I've seen Frankenhooker a bunch of times, and I love it. And Bob, this was Bob's first full watch of Frankenhooker.
I've seen it, watching it. I actually, on Letterboxd, I said it was a rewatch because I've literally seen the whole movie, just not ever in one sitting.
So this was Bob's first full watch, start to finish.
Concentrated full watch, start to finish. But there's not a part of this movie I haven't actually ingested prior. So
and as I'm watching it, I'm sort of one thought that's just burning into my brain is, my God, this came out at the exact same time as Bride of Reanimator, and the plot is incredibly similar. And I would say the only difference between the two, although I have not looked at dates and times, and I don't want to point fingers or say one thing or another, but one seems to be heavily based on the other. There is a phenomena out there, and that's not to say one was actively trying to rip off another, and they are absolutely different enough from each other to be considered two different movies.
Are you saying that Frankenhooker is the Deep Impact to Bride of Reanimator's Armageddon?
That's what I'm saying. That's it. You said that's literally what I wanted to say.
Okay. Next. Just making sure.
You are like Meatloaf. You took the words right out of my mouth just now. I absolutely took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay, cool.
That was what I was going to say. The idea that, films get developed in a parallel fashion all the time. The only reason why I thought in my mind maybe Frank Henenlotter might have watched Bride of Reanimator and used it as a template, let's say it like that maybe it was a template, is because I believe that the Bride of Reanimator was a very developed story. They had a very developed idea that they went into, and Brian Usna wanted to shoot Society, and he had Japanese money. And the only way he dangled Bride of Reanimator over their heads in order to shoot Society. So Society came first, and then Bride of Reanimator. Society was 1989. Right. Bride of Reanimator was 1990, I believe. It might have also been 1989. But the two, please check. The two scripts were pretty closely developed. Society and Bride of. What was it?
1990, same year.
1990, same year. So, I mean, it could be argued that perhaps one was inspired by the other. The similar elements, you have the dead girlfriend that's the motivating source to bring, a bride of Frankenstein type creature back to life. What's up, Dagger Love? How are you?
Hello.
You have the cruel, you have the offbeat sort of what's it called, antisocial Victor Frankenstein, science kind of guy. Although I would say Jeffrey Franken is pales in comparison to the brilliance of Jeffrey Combs's.
I have so much to say about him because
me too. We're gonna get into it
because there's another movie that I have to mention. But
I know what movie.
Exactly what movie I'm going to mention.
Street Trash?
No.
Oh.
No, you don't know what movie I'm going to mention.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess not.
Yeah.
Rocky Horror?
No, you're not even on the right track, sir.
Okay. You'll tell me.
Yeah.
Point being is I was watching these two movies. I'm just going, they're incredibly, incredibly similar. What's up, Amy? How are you?
Hello, Amy.
Even down to the ending where you have Herbert West is overtaken by all of the hybrid creatures that he has made. Same thing happens in Frankenhooker. And instead of a glowing green reagent that's put directly on body parts to make them sort of connect together, it's a estrogen-based purple blood serum in Frankenhooker. So it really feels like there's something going on here.
It's a great minds think alike at the same time.
That's what I want to believe. That's what I think. But
I also think that the
they're
tone
very similar.
They're similar. I feel like the tone is even sillier on the Frankenhooker end of things.
Oh, very much so.
Very, very much so. Like it's a dead set class. Yes, it is. It's incredibly silly. That's what I was gonna say. Like, so I've seen the entire movie before. Not just this is my
sorry.
Hey, Brian. I've seen the entire movie before, but this is my first time just sitting down and like absorbing it,
right?
Like in one sitting, which I can't believe because like, how did that I go this far in life without just like seeing all of Frankenhooker? But it's one of those movies and one of those like underground movies where a lot of human beings act and speak like they live on some other planet that's adjacent to Earth. Earth. I love it. No.
That's Frank Henenlotter's
It's Frank Henenlotter. Yeah,
that's
like,
his world.
You could say that about a lot of his movies, and this one is no exception. And it makes me, number one, I love it. It makes me laugh out loud the way people deliver lines and speak to each other.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
Right, exactly. And the way that the plot unfolds is so like otherworldly odd. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, I mean, the fucking lawnmower incident is laugh out loud hilarious. Like it comes out of close to nowhere. It's really funny.
And it's so grisly. And
the way the mom is just like, this is where I'm going to make my coleslaw next to your experiment with a brain.
Well, we got to talk about the brain. We have to talk about the brain with the eyeball, which inexplicably, I mean, this is
never explained.
And again, although, again, you have the eyeball with the fingers attached to it in Bride of Reanimator. I'm saying there's a lot of similarities there. There's a lot. I don't know which one came first.
Jeff,
there's a lot of similarities.
I'm going to rewatch Bride of Reanimator. And I thought about that before you said it on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like I literally was like, I think I need to rewatch Bride of Reanimator while watching this.
Which is far more, Bride of Reanimator is goofy too, but there's way more pathos. Like there's actual pathos. And it's really, I mean, they're both masterpieces in their own way. Frankenhooker is a masterpiece. Bride of Reanimator is a masterpiece.
In their own way is very important to say. Yeah.
Yeah, in their own way. And I don't want to, again, I'm being really heavy-handed with the comparisons here, but it just excited. It came from excitement. I was like, oh my God, I never realized this before. This movie is very much like this movie. That's so cool. Like, that sort of thing.
The fact that you're talking to me, I get what you're saying. I think most people would take the comparison. They would see Frankenhooker as much lesser, but I think for the goals that Frankenhooker is trying to attain, it's just as great.
There's a message. Here's the other thing too.
There's a message in Frankenhooker. Sure.
There is a strong social commentary running through Frankenhooker, like an intelligent social message that is present. And I was a little shocked to see the trauma bumper
at the top. Yeah.
At the top, because I don't think Frankenhooker was a trauma movie.
I did not remember that. I was kind of surprised myself. I didn't know if that was a newer edition or
it's not on the Synapse. I have the Synapse release
because I know Trauma acquires old movies and stuff. I didn't know that it was original. I don't think it was originally a Trauma movie. Was it?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
But here's the thing. The other thing to remember here is that you have the New York scene of the 80s. Like the New York independent horror movie scene of the 80s was slam-a-jammin'. You had Frank Henenlotter doing his thing. You had Gregory Lamberson all over the place. He did Slime City. And he also worked on I Was a Teenage Zombie. Then you had Roy Frumke and the dude who made Spookies. I forget his name. Those guys, they did Street Trash. I mean, you had all these classic, and then you had Trauma doing Toxic Avenger and Class Nukem High. I mean, it was what a scene. And I'm sure I'm leaving out all sorts of
that's like a if I could time travel, I would want to go to that scene for a couple weeks and just experience what that was like.
Greg was there for all of it, and I interviewed him a long while back, and like he worked on Street Trash, he worked on Brain Damage, he worked on I Was a Teenage Zombie, and he made Slime City. You know, so
can I okay, so let me get this out of the way because I have to talk about this.
Go ahead.
He's a lawyer. I would agree with that.
Amy, very much so.
I would agree with that, Amy. Yeah.
Amy, you're right on the money with that.
He is
and
the Lloyd.
We all love Trauma and Uncle Lloyd in our own way. I
have met Lloyd several times.
I interviewed Lloyd for this channel a long time ago. I never released it. I don't know
Lloyd
why.
signed my Miss Doubtfire poster for me twice. I brought it to 2 separate conventions, and he signed it twice. Okay, so Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm admitting on this channel that I've never sat through all of Frankenhooker before today.
It's nothing to admit to. It's just
I know it's just for a guy like me that is weird that I've not seen all of Frankenhooker. But okay, so I've come to this the full vision of Frankenhooker later in life.
Yes, let's hear it.
But a movie that I came to very early in my life that I saw a billion times that also has one James Lorinz.
Yeah.
James Lorinz in, and he's been in a lot of stuff. So this is not a movie he probably might even want to remember he was in, but a very formative movie for me that most people probably hate or remember as terrible is the Jerky Boys movie. Okay.
I've never seen the Jerky Boys movie.
Okay. Maybe we should do that one day. It'd be funny for you to watch because it's literally a movie that was greenlit based on prank calls.
Right. Yeah, I know who the Jerky. Who the Jerky Boys are.
I worshipped the fucking Jerky Boys back in the day.
I bet you did.
Oh my god, they were living gods in like high school. They were like the Jerky Boys were the coolest guys ever. So in the Jerky Boys movie, they have a friend. The 2 guys who play the Jerky Boys have a friend who they absolutely hate because he's kind of a sellout prick, and his name is Brett Weir. And he's the most annoying guy in a movie where everyone else is absolutely annoying. Like everyone in the movie talks completely annoying. And the guy that they frame as the most annoying is this guy named Brett Weir. And he's played by James Lorinz. So the funny thing is my first and biggest like introduction to James Lorinz is that movie where he plays this like absolute annoying prick. And then Frankenhooker is 10 times funnier because that is my introduction to him. Because Frankenhooker has entire scenes where he is literally forced to talk to himself.
Yeah, it's just literally
it's like him just like talking.
20% of the movie. 20% of the movie is
dude. I'd say 30 or 40 almost.
Yeah,
like
is him literally just talking to himself, and then deciding that he needs to stick a drill in his brain
Yeah, let me just say, this is not me
awesome touch, which is an awesome touch. I love that.
I'm not insulting Frankenhooker. Once I realized that it was going to be him kind of almost damn near improving to himself and doing crazy shit like drilling into his own head or just driving a car while also speaking to himself about what he sees, I was like, this is incredible.
He's like, whoa, yeah,
with that accent,
yeah,
and that voice.
Yep.
It's such a thick accent.
I also want to say that Jeffrey Franken's name is very close to my name. That's my name up into the FR. That's my name, Jeffrey Fra and Jeffrey Franken. It's very similar, which kind of also took me for a loop. I was like, whoa, I totally forgot that the guy's name is Jeffrey Franken in this.
You should do him for Halloween. I mean, okay, so the genius, when this movie became genius for me is the drilling into his head thing.
Oh, it's so great.
The rest of the movie to me played like I totally remembered the scenes I had seen and I expected it to play.
Right.
But when I had no memory of him drilling into his head to relieve anxiety and get ideas is such
it's a twofold. It's a twofold
so
situation.
Nuts.
I'm gonna relieve
tension. It also has history. There's history to that,
right?
In medical science, it's not like just random,
right?
There's actual history.
He's like some people take drugs.
There's a name for it.
I don't know. It's relieving pressure in the cranium, I guess. I don't know. But this guy literally has holes in his head, multiple holes, and
no blood.
And he has to explain to himself because there's nobody else in the room. I've already bored the hole and I'm going to just put the drill bit in. He's explaining this to nobody. His mother knows that he has a brain with an eyeball. His mother knows that he has a brain with an eyeball in it floating around in a jar full of purple goo. And she goes, "Oh, he's looking better today. He's looking better."
Jeff, did he create that brain eyeball?
I was literally trying to write the origin of the brain eyeball. His future mother-in-law sees him with this thing.
Yeah.
His own mother, his fiance. And I love how she's also, by the way, she wants to make coleslaw not just next to the brain, but all of the dirty equipment that he has out on the kitchen table at his in-laws' house
during a picnic.
No, during a birthday party.
Why is
that for his dad-in-law?
He's playing with a brain with a giant eyeball in the kitchen while a birthday party is going on with his family.
He's using a scalpel to partially lobotomize the brain to get it to move around. And then, Patty Mullen, who plays Frank Hooker, she was a former Penthouse playmate. She, I saw / met all of these people and got to have I had my picture taken with Frank at the New Jersey Horror Con and Film Festival, and it was a great honor to meet this incredible man. And if you look on my channel, Frank participated in Horror Boobs game show with Lloyd Kaufman. It was me. I wasn't playing the game, but it was me with Lloyd Kaufman. I mean, there was a lot of people. I wasn't the only one.
Sure.
It was Lloyd Kaufman, Ted Raimi, Frank Henenlotter, and one of the dudes from Freddy, one of the Freddy movies, and Tiffany. No, what's her name? The girl, Tiffany Amber Tradus. I don't know. She's in Romeo and Juliet. She's in a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
And they're playing Horror Boobs, Circle Against the Square, and I was recording the whole thing with my cell phone. It was a tremendous time. It was just cool to everybody was hanging out. Right? Everybody was hanging out. I'm like, there's Ted Raimi, there's Frank Henenlotter, there's Lloyd Kaufman. It's fucking awesome. Patty Kaufman was there too. Patricia.
That's great.
Yeah, so Patty Mullen, she plays Elizabeth Shelley, a take on Mary Shelley, and she gets chopped up into bits. Let's talk a little bit about the newscast and how insensitive the newscast is about the birthday party. And
That's another moment where I was like, okay, this movie is absolute genius.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's sitting there feeling bad, and then the newscast comes on TV, and it's just like so personally offensive to him, like, and what happened, and like it's just like insulting to the family of this deceased person. It's truly hilarious, honestly.
Sure. And and then they come to his door, and he's like, I don't know nothing. He's like, so it's like, dude, this is your fiance, and you absconded with her body parts. You could at least like pretend on some level to be upset.
That Jeff, that's what I love about Jeffrey's performance.
Sure, me
the
too.
Whole movie is like all of these horrific, weird things are happening, and he's sort of supposed to be depressed, but he comes off as sort of like casual about most of it. Like all those women exploding. And he's just like, hey, I'll put you all back together. It's no big deal.
Well, that's what he says. He justifies to himself. Right. He goes, I'm not giving them the super crack. They're doing it themselves. He's justifying his nefarious.
Right.
And let's talk about Jeffrey and his wants and why he's doing what he's doing. He wants to bring.
That's where the commentary comes in, right?
Jeffrey himself. For sure.
There's a misogynistic commentary to Jeffrey.
Huge.
Huge. It's giant.
Well, it's not just that he's a misogynist, but it also it's what is it saying about women and expectations for bodies, and don't eat those pretzels because they'll go to your hips. And,
they frame her. This is also for a special effects reason. Like they frame her as bigger, so they put her together with other women. Which
is genius, absolutely
genius. But yeah, it's like this whole thing where they frame her as not even obese. She's just slightly overweight. Apparently, you can't really tell in the shots.
She's voluptuous, man. She's not even overweight at all. That's
when they were saying that, I was like, she's okay.
It's like she's not heavy.
Like, I live in America in 2022. She is not.
Yeah, no. There are a lot of different people that would be interested in that body. So
body positivity, baby. All bodies are loved. Yeah.
So yeah, God, that's
he loves her, but he is not happy with her current status of her body. Basically, like
before she gets the lawnmower or after. Well, obviously after, but
he doesn't really say it before, but it's obvious with all of his words after she dies, where he talks about, I'm going to make your body better than it ever was. He's constantly talking about that.
He sees it as an opportunity.
Yeah, he sees that opportunity. I'm going to make my wife hotter.
Right.
So this is all actually kind of a net good, because I can bring you back to life and you can be hotter. It's pretty messed up.
And
in a lot of ways.
And the other
thing, that's the tone of the movie, though.
It's not just him. It's her mother. It's
everybody.
Friends.
It's society.
It's everybody. Yeah, it's society around her. But yes, he basically, I'm going to take your head, and he has this fascination with taking.
He probably
should
have got a woman to talk about this. Instead of
me. We would have been nice to have. We should have had some feminine energy on here to help elaborate. But that's okay.
We're acknowledging we're both dudes talking about
that's
this.
Okay. We're allowed to talk about this stuff.
We're
they're tackling. What we're really doing is we're tackling the misogynistic angle from the male gaze, and that is something I think we're both qualified.
He's sort of a clueless misogynist. Like he has
that's
no
what it is.
Clue that he is how horrible his views
are. He's an ignorant misogynist.
Ignorant.
He's ignorant.
Yeah,
he's ignorant to, like, if you were to sit down and try to have some sort of intellectual conversation about all these things, he probably would go, yeah, okay, yeah, I see your point. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's messed
He's
up.
also ignorant to human suffering and flesh and people's lives being lost. Like, he's completely ignorant as a character.
However,
except for science.
However,
that's the only thing he gets.
No, but when he sees the two prostitutes making out, he goes, "That's unnatural."
I was gonna say he's also homophobic.
So he's like,
which is weird.
Calm down. That's unnatural. Not me giving you something I developed called super crack.
Super crack, right?
To make you explode so that I could harvest your body parts to make a body for my dead fiance's head.
I'm laughing, but I want to say, like, I don't find misogyny and homophobia funny, but the way the tone of this movie and his caricature is hilarious. Like,
no, it's the examination of it
is hilarious.
Of homophobia and misogyny is what's funny.
It's totally funny.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just done. It comes off as brilliant, scathing satire. And I will say, to compare and contrast with Bride of Reanimator deals with romantic pathos. It's almost like a proto Return of the Living Dead 3 in that way. It's dealing with like loss, like real loss, and of a deep wanting to fill a deep void in one's heart, feeling guilt over death and yada yada yada, and bringing somebody back,
which I think is in contrast to what Frankenhooker is giving us. Like, yes, it's about him losing the person he loves, but his version of love is so surface in every way. And like, this guy really just doesn't want to be alone. He doesn't really love her specifically. He just doesn't want to be alone. And he wants to rebuild the person that loved him, because he's kind of selfish and horrible.
He's selfish, horrible human being.
It's really terrible.
And he's literally like, I could sit there and watch him for hours on.
I know, and he's got that voice, which is like, makes it all the funnier.
He steals the show. He chews the scenery in Street Trash 2 as the bellhop. I mean, it goes on and on. Those scenes go on and on because he can.
Like I said, dude, they cast him in the Jerky Boys movie as the guy with the annoying voice. In a Jerky Boys movie. There's a reason for that.
For sure. And I love how, he's like, he always has like he has a very ghoulish appearance to him, and it kind of goes. He's not a leading man in
any way. Like, that's why it's great. Like, Hollywood leading man, he's the opposite.
When he was at that convention, he was dressed up like the Doctor with the reflective thing. It was great. It was really great. And he's synthesized this.
He's really
goop.
Into it. He's really into it.
He's really into it. He's into his identity as Jeffrey Franken, and I love that. I love him even more for that. And he synthesized a lot of things. There are a lot of elements that are not explained, and they don't have to be explained at all.
In script writing terms, you would call a lot of this stuff double mumbo jumbo, which doesn't need to really be explained. I don't need to know it.
Purple goo. We don't need to know.
I don't know how it works.
How the purple sticky goo works. We just need to know that it's sticky. And you know what else?
I don't know how Bob? He's. Oh, well, I would say riot stickers are sticky.
Riot stickers are the stickiest stickers you're ever going to find sticking to stuff, because riot stickers stick better than all the competitors. Do you know about Riot Stickers? Riot Stickers, they power the Frumess channel. They are our sponsor. We love Riot Stickers. Check out these stickers. These are 2.5 by 3 inch stickers, but we're doing a special deal with Riot Stickers. And basically for $79, you can get 1,000 3-inch by 3-inch stickers. So you're actually going to get a little bit more real estate than what you're seeing right here. Now, what makes these stickers so special, Bob? What is it that makes these stickers so special? Besides
I would say the quality and the price.
It's definitely the quality and the price. But you want to know what else it is? It's the UV coating that Sharpie Riot, CEO of RiotStickers.com, he puts a UV coating on top of the image, and it protects your image, your brand, your mark from the sun. He also prints them on vinyl so that they are waterproof. These stickers stick, baby. That's what they do. They stick, and that's all there is to it. So you can get 1,000 stickers for $79. That's 7 cents per sticker, and there's only one place you're going to get it, Bob. There's only one place you are going to get 1,000 stickers for $79.
I can take a guess. I can take one guess.
Take your guess.
It's obviously 100% obvious. It is Amazon.com. No, I'm kidding. It's RiotStickers.com.
Bob was right. Yes, no, it's RiotStickers.com, but it's not just RiotStickers.com. You need to go to the link down in the description. It's RiotStickers.com/Frumess. That's the only place you're going to get this deal. There's no promo code. We used to have a promo code. It was Frumess, F-R-U, M as in Mary, E-S-S. Frumess, like the name of the channel. That doesn't work anymore. If you want this special deal, you have to click the link down in the description, right below where it says Thundergrunt.com. which is all things Bob Rose. And you click on riotstickers.com/Frumess, and it will take you to that place and you can get that special deal. Do not miss out on this deal. And now a word from the guy who sings in Less Than Jake. If I could find. It really saddens me that there was a dog named Jake. I always thought that he was referring to the idea that everything's Jake. That was an old euphemism in the 50s. Oh, everything's Jake, meaning everything's on the up. So I love the idea of being less than Jake, meaning like it's not okay. It's not really okay. Cool. Yeah, I love that.
We make stickers, banners, and buttons too. Posters and promo cards. There's nothing we can't print for you. From stage backdrops to bass drum heads. We can print on shirts. We can print on hats. We can print on pants. Cheap prices and high quality. Quick turnaround times and free shipping. We also offer free artwork support. Great customer service and so much more. RiotStickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb. RiotStickers.com. Riot Stickers, we are the bomb.
Hey yo,
what a catchy song.
What a catchy song. It never leaves our head. It's drilled into our skull just like Jeffrey Franken.
Good
one. Yes, Brian, I saw Brian post this on Facebook during that little break. Brian, you have to go and watch Frankenhooker. If you have not seen it, you will absolutely love it. So should we dive into, let's dive into the sort of the theme, the misogyny, the misogynistic theme. We sort of talked about a little bit. Basically, he's obsessed with parts and he goes and he finds
women are pieces of flesh.
Yeah, nothing more.
To this guy. I'm not saying that. To this guy, they are.
Right.
Yeah.
And he even draws, he basically works out a situation. There's this guy, Zorro, who also, this dude is also in Brain Damage. This guy, Zorro, he's like a bodybuilder or something. And he's great. You go into this place.
Oh, he's wonderful. His line deliveries cracked me up, man.
Well, you could tell that he's not really an actor, and frankly,
why do you think I'm saying they crack me up? Right.
Most of the people on the street, this was filmed in Times Square in the 80s, and most of the people on the street are absolutely prostitutes. Those are all real prostitutes. That, again, that was, Frank Henenlotter had a budget. He had I think it was $2.5 million to make this movie, one of the biggest budgets he ever had. And still, like any good, independent filmmaker, like the almighty Larry Cohen, if you get an opportunity to steal a shot, you steal a shot. It also kind of says something about like the reality of like needing to get people's like releases, which you technically need to do, but it's also kind of bullshit, man. You could be like George Romero and see that there's a parade happening and film your scene weaved into the parade. No one's going to come after you. It's okay. It's going to be okay.
If they do, it's just good publicity for the movie.
Yeah, it's really nothing to worry about. It's like, I feel like that's something that you worry about if you're, I don't know. I just feel like it's nothing to worry about. And in this case, you just have a lot of real people in their real professions, street professions, if you will, all over the place. And Jeffrey Franken, he goes hunting for parts, and that brings him, first he wants to kidnap stewardesses.
He does struggle at the beginning with how to get her back together. Remember, there's like him trying to figure out what to do.
He wants to use stewardesses.
Eventually he lands on, I can hire women and then use their parts. Yeah.
Right. He's like, I can literally buy anything that I want. So there's this euphemism of women selling their bodies and him
his right to do anything he wants with them.
Right. Oh, great. Good, Bob. Good.
Right.
That was straightforward.
I mean, it's pretty blunt. It's not.
It
like
is. No, but
yeah.
I wasn't able to get that into words. You did it well. And then on the TV, you have like this little clip, what's supposed to be like the Robert Morton Downey Jr. show, and you have this woman. She works for an organization called Hooker. It's like something a knowledge rights worker, whatever, talking, basically saying what I think Frank Henenlotter is really trying to say in that.
Oh yeah, that was
sex work is work, and we all deserve to be,
That was the you ever heard of a classroom scene in a movie? You know what a classroom scene is. It's usually in the classroom of a scene of any movie, they say the theme if there is a classroom.
Right. Yes.
So like
yes.
It can just be, it's just a term that means the classroom scene. I would call that commercial or that segment on television the classroom scene of this movie, where that woman, like you said, she is stating the point and the theme of this very silly movie, but it actually is a really good like theme, saying sex work is work and women are more than just things. They deserve, to be treated properly, all this.
Which goes to show, and what's interesting is, I don't exactly know. What's interesting is this movie is loaded with gratuitous nudity, female nudity, and you could say part of it's partially there because it's there for the story and it makes sense for it to be there. But a part of it also feels like it's there. I also feel like this was Frank Henenlotter's big like shot at really breaking out and establishing his career, where he could be making a movie every year, and needing a movie that was going to make a lot of money, and going the route of the more gratuitous nudity we can have in it, the better. It's good that it actually works for the movie from a thematic and story perspective, but like the more that we have, the better. That maybe this will do good, big numbers, big business.
I mean, I would say that there is all the nudity is still like punctuated by either being in extraordinarily silly conditions,
absolutely,
in a horrific, like, when we finally see like the breasts of the Frankenhooker, they're painted blue, the nipples are blue or purple, or like
I guess you could say it's all motivated. It's all motivated. It's all motivated.
In the super crack scene, when you do see nudity, it's in the super crack scene. Nothing about that scene is sexy or sexualized in a way for the audience.
So
you know what I mean?
So maybe it's not gratuitous. So gratuitous would mean that that there's no point for it to be there.
Gratuitous would be like if it was shot in order to titillate. In my opinion, I'm just saying, like,
okay, yeah, it's definitely there to titillate. It's definitely there to titillate on some level, for sure.
Sure. I mean, having breasts on there, but like in the context, of
it's good for business. It's good for business.
The only time I would maybe argue that it was there is when the woman takes her breasts out in the window of the car. Like, but even then, it's like that serves the story for what he's, because then Jeffrey's like, oh, that's exactly what I need.
You know what I mean? Here's the reality. I'm thinking about it now. Every single piece of nudity, sir, and if we're saying that gratuitous is meaning titillating, there is some of it is titillating, but every single piece of nudity absolutely is there to serve the story. Much to the credit of Frank Henenlotter.
It's either extremely silly or gory, like one of the two. Like the nudity in the super crack scene. None of that scene is shot like it's supposed to be sexy, or it's.
I don't know. I mean, they're just randomly out with their tits. They didn't have to have their tits out, but a part of me thinks that, like, the part of me that was watching that, and I'm thinking from the mentality of somebody trying to, do business. And what was the thing? What's so interesting? And I noticed this today. And maybe it has to do with the rise of like the internet and what is accessible on the internet. But I find that there's so much genre and horror stuff that actually no longer contains gratuitous or, motivated nudity anymore, or if there is nudity, it doesn't show. it doesn't show all the, all the bits. And I think part of that reason is because in the 80s and the 90s, when it was a lot harder to have access to video of this stuff, that there was like this sort of like gray area where like if people did not want to be renting adult movies but wanted to see a pair of tits, that they could. And now it's so compartmentalized and so niche.
Like, you don't need Mr. Skin now.
Right.
You don't need, and I say this as somebody who managed a video store for half a decade with the biggest porn room in my state, and still had I literally had guys that would come in with the Mr. Skin book and spend all day finding VHS tapes to rent.
Right.
And I also had people that were addicted.
Was, right? Did you know McBeardo?
Yes, I believe I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know who that is.
He used to work for Mr. Skin. Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
But I literally was at the tail end of that experience of people
Mr.
renting porn.
Huge. That was
right.
It was a whole industry. There was a whole industry around, or a whole business around, hey, if you go to this movie, to this window, you're going to see
this actress.
Yeah.
I remember. So Jeff, this is just a story that I have. It's really short.
Sure.
I had this guy, he would bring the Mr. Skin dictionary in with all the pages he wanted bookmarked. Like it was this thick. I'm not even kidding. He would come in and he would spend almost my entire 8-hour shift with me in the store, looking up VHS tapes, having me look up for him. And then one day, the one time because you're not supposed to ask the customers anything, especially when it came to porn, but he wasn't getting porn. So I said one day to him, I was like, hey, I know you love doing this and stuff, but I was like, just curious, we have a back room where you could just get videos with naked people in them without any stuff you have to wade through. And he looked at me and he goes, all those women, they don't have any class. I went, oh, okay.
I'm
just saying that's what that type of guy was like back then. I disagreed with him, and I was just like, I'm not going to say anything else.
But what's interesting is that he's coming from a place of like his kink, whatever that guy's kink was, it's almost like he needed to see somebody naked who wasn't intentionally supposed to naked. Yeah, that's
for pornographic reasons. Was
right. Okay. He needed somebody to be.
I'm not defending that guy because I think he was kind of a dick. And he was obviously a misogynist.
No one is defending. No one's defending.
No. But it was a really interesting moment.
We're just trying to understand. 8
hours in a video store.
No, just trying
these VHS tapes. Yeah.
Just trying to understand why he'd be motivated to do that. That's what I could come up with in my mind. But it's interesting how perhaps, and again, I don't actually know any of these things. I am just as a person who has tried to make movies in the past, trying to imagine an independent filmmaker in the late 80s, early 90s, trying to make money, right? I mean, that's, on some level, you're with a movie like Frankenhooker, whether you have a smart message in it or not, a title like that could really sell. I mean, it's essentially sounds like an adult film without actually being an adult film. And the reality is
it's a porn title. If it never existed,
right,
it would be a porn title now.
Right, for sure. And you want to know something? What's interesting about Frankenhooker is it's not a horror movie. It really isn't. It's a comedy.
It's a comedy. Yeah.
It's a comedy. It gets put in horror sections. You'd find it in any horror section. You're not gonna find it in a comedy.
If you go to a horror con, that's where you see all the Frankenhooker merch and t-shirts, all the artwork and everything. It lives in that space, but it's not horrific nor scary in any way, shape, or form.
No, it is absolutely more,
which is great. I love that. Yeah. That's actually more my style than most horror movies. So I love this. Yeah.
I mean, really, I would say even more so. It's a cult movie is what it is. It's more cult than anything else. But what's interesting, I just find it interesting that, it's just an interesting how times have changed, because you look at there's so many films now. And when you see somebody get naked now, it is for such a specific reason. And it's not just like that times have changed, like progressive values have changed. It's just that it no longer commercially or creatively suits storytelling at this point in time anymore.
I would say that it's twofold, where your thing about porn is absolutely true. People aren't searching for it in their normal entertainment. But I've also noticed in my travels on film Twitter, there is a ongoing debate / complaint that mainstream movies are no longer horny anymore. I have seen this time and time again, this is not like a left versus right debate or something like that. It's mostly film people, much like me and you, with the same set of values, but they're saying like, it's okay to have movies where people are horny and fuck and are naked, as long as it's treated properly and it's not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But even tasteful ways of that are missing now from our films.
Yeah,
they're just missing, and some people want them back, some people don't. You're not going to find that in Marvel and DC, but
you know what? It's a phase. It's a phase, and it will eventually find its way back, just the way everything is a phase, and this is the phase currently. And you know what? Frankly, right now, I'm saying this now is like almost like a realization, because that's how little I missed it, quite clearly. I don't need
titillation from my normal movies, if I'm honest. I'll happily watch it.
No, I don't. But like, growing up, like, the things that I thought about were, like tits and gore. Like I was like, okay, it's got a lot of tits, it's got a lot of gore. Great, And then it's funny how like now
I was never like that, Jeff, to be honest with you.
Well,
I'm not, that's not a judgment. I'm just saying,
no, it was like 14, 15-year-old, brain. I need tits, I need gore. As
I said, you've seen the stuff I've made. None of it really has, if anything, there's more naked men.
I mean, I made a movie.
Men,
What's funny is I actually made a movie that has a simulated. Actually, I guess it's an unsimulated sex act on not a person, on an object, for a very specific reason, as it relates to a character.
Sure,
motivated artistically in that kind of way. But what's interesting, I
had a guy fuck a microwave. What can you do, man? Art.
Oh, I didn't even think about the fact that he also fucks a melon, and he also fucks a melon too.
Right.
That's right. That's right. He does. This is my character. I have a character who he's never had sex before, so he can't imagine what it's like to have sex with a human being. So his sexual experiences revolve around food, revolve around things that he is able to have sex with, and like just like a subtle little like character thing that gives you an excuse to fuck a melon.
I mean, well, so anyone listening, the two shorts that I've shown Jeff that I know he's watched, one has a guy fuck a microwave, and the other has a fart fetish where people are obsessed with people farting on their hands.
This is true.
Yes, time microwave. But so like, there's sex in our movies. It is not sexy sex or
if you want to see sex. Yeah, like
you know what I mean. It's not for those reasons. It's
if
not.
You want to see carrot fellatio or melon masturbation,
right?
it's there. It's available.
I definitely love putting sex in all my movies, or if I can. I just don't want it to be normal sex. Like that's
I want it to be absolutely unnormal. I want it to be
abnormal sex. Yeah,
abnormal sex. No, for real though. For real. No,
I'm totally being serious.
And it's just interesting. I don't know. I just find that really interesting that it's just not. And if you do have anything like, again, for me personally, like, yes, like I don't mind seeing people like fucking, and it's like, it's cool. Like, that's great. But like, if I see two people kiss and then like go to bed, like I just, okay, they fucked and that was it. Like, okay, that the relationship has been taken to the next level in the show, and that's that, and that's fine. Blah, blah,
you don't need the MacGruber scene where they have actual sex.
Right. I don't need the Team America World Police scene. Well, I do. Actually, I do. Yeah. I do need that scene.
Oh no, I mean MacGruber and both MacGruber and the microwave was off. I'm answering the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. I was going to say to bring it back to Frankenhooker too. There is not too much that I think it's very surprising and awesome, except for that one shot in the bathroom where somebody's fucking in the bathroom stall. There is not a sex scene in this movie.
That is actually a really great little, because so they go into this. So there's this bar called Bad Eggs in Spanish.
What a terrible
Well, because
I know, I get it. It's just funny.
But it's supposed to be like bad balls. Like I'm a bad dude,
Yeah.
like bad wave. I think it was something huevos.
Also, eggs, ovaries. There's probably something there with the.
Oh yeah, maybe
the parts of women,
But this guy Zorro, he's a pimp, and he called. Oh yeah, that's the other thing too.
His like home base is the bathroom of this place.
Right, everybody's smoking crack because it's the 80s. And
they're fucking in the bathroom stalls.
They're fucking, and he just stands in the middle, holding court with his arms crossed. He doesn't have a desk.
Jeff, the fact that he has no desk is hilarious to me. He's just standing there with his arms crossed, like, what business you need? That's it.
Right, and and there's like a preacher guy who's missing teeth and bald with a beard who's like whispering into his ear, and he's like, here's what you need. Have some crack. And he like gives him crack to smoke.
It's absolute chaos in this room.
It's just absolute chaos. So he's just surrounded by people. He's probably getting a secondhand high from all this crack smoke. He has to be. He turns to Jeffrey Franken. He's like, yeah, I got these girls on a glass diet. Because here's the thing. Zorro and Jeffrey Franken are one and the same. They both possess women. Right. Zorro, every chance he gets, Zorro says, these are my bitches. My bitches, they belong to me. To Zorro, this is his property. He brands them with Z's on their arms, which is a plot device. That's a little, I don't know, would you call that? That's not a MacGuffin. What is that? That's like
I mean, it's a setup and a payoff. I mean, that way you know that she definitely didn't have a Z on her arm when she died. So now all you got to do is draw a Z on her arm after she's put back together with other parts. And it's a great little makeup premise idea that works,
And I love how she, Jeffrey makes her, Jeffrey is not, I guess, he's misogynist. He's not racist because he
uses all parts from a
whole
room of exploded women.
Right. And so she has different shades of skin because she has different arms and legs and things.
Don't you find it weird that he doesn't?
I thought that was nice.
It's so odd to me. I mean, I think it's premise specific that he needs to make the perfect woman from many other women, but it's so funny.
Which was not his intention. But it's
just funny that he just doesn't get another woman and just switch the heads.
Right.
It's so like, why is this so extra complicated? It's hilarious. But
what's interesting is to really solve his problem, all he has to do is just go on a dating website or whatever and just meet a woman and replace Elizabeth. That's like all you have to do. Like that's what if he wants to, be with someone, if he doesn't want to be alone. Instead, he's having pizza, aka an Italian dinner.
There's a sicker version of this movie where he replaces his like mother's head with his lover's head or something like that.
There definitely is. There's like a psycho.
Yeah.
You can go there if you wanted to.
I'm not saying I wanted it to go there. There's a sicker version.
And we get a really good Frankenstein reanimation scene, the classic, lightning storm, some really good optical effects.
And Patty Mullen's like hilarious take on the Frankenstein like walk and his
she's great. She does a great job.
Yeah, she goes all in. It's amazing.
There's actually something really dark and sad about her. About that, and I know
it's dark and sad because her just saying
yes.
They don't ever explain. I guess there's a weird like otherworldly, like the flesh holds all of our spirit
memories.
In it, memories
trauma.
And stuff. Because
I
was like, she's saying all these lines that call girls or prostitutes would say to Johns.
No, that were actually said in the movie.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They're said in the movie, but they weren't said by her brain or her mouth. Because she's attached to these parts, and now her brain is reacting to the flesh.
There's science. There's real science behind this. In that there are people that get heart transplants that suddenly get cravings for foods that they never had or can. I believe. Do not quote me on this. You have to do a quick Google. I could be making this up off the top of my head. I don't think I am. That they even have learned or know languages and also play instruments that they.
I'd have to look that up.
I think I'm making that up. I don't think so, but I think I might be making that up.
As a child of the 90s, it reminds me of the Treehouse of Horror with the evil toupee.
Sure.
The Simpsons with the evil
toupee. Which is actually based on body bags, John Carpenter's body bags.
Right. But I saw The Simpsons first.
No. Sorry, body parts. No, body parts.
Body parts. Sorry, yeah.
Not.
I'm just saying, as a kid, I wasn't shown that. As a kid, it was just the Simpsons episode,
which is a great
episode, right?
Episode.
Yeah.
But the point is that, like, it's this idea that there is cellular memory and that it can be inherited and transferred, and so the idea that she's like echoing,
which is exceedingly deep for this silly movie,
super fucking deep and unexplained, really deep. Completely unexplained.
It's almost like the collective trauma that these women have experienced is bubbling up through the only outlet it has, which is this new head.
Yeah, and so there's a movie that I know you haven't seen, but you have to. I can't recommend this movie enough. It's by one of the dudes who.
What if I have seen it?
If you have seen it, I'll be super happy, but I don't think you have. It's by the director of Tragedy Girls, and it's called Patchwork. And it's about you have to watch this movie. You have to watch this movie. It's 3 women who are Frankenstein together into the same body, trying to figure out who did this to them. And they all share the mind. And so it's just them, like normal, like not Frankenstein, in a kitchen, but that's a metaphor for the mind. So they're all in there, like talking about how they want to do things and stuff. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And it's really, really fucked up body horror. Like, it's terrifying. It's a terrifying story. Like, the older I get, the more fucked up Frankenstein is to me. When you're younger, Frankenstein is just a monster.
It's fun, but when you think about Frankenstein for 5 minutes, you realize how genius it is, number one.
Yes, absolutely genius. But like the idea, how terrifying it would be that you are life created from death and that your body doesn't belong to you.
Also,
and
I mean, whenever I think about Frankenstein, and now when I think about Frankenhooker, as I get older and start to fall apart more, and as we feel death creeping upon us, you realize how easy it is for the body to fail in so many minuscule ways.
Oh God, I'm shuddering.
I'm just saying, thinking about putting a body back together and reanimating it, it's such a terrifying. It's terrifying, but I'm not insulting the stories. I'm saying it's such an implausible act to actually put a body back together to make it work, like every vein and stuff being connected back to each other and somehow working in that fashion is insane.
Especially if it was decomposed,
Right. Well, I'm just saying Frankenstein's like a reverse of the natural order in such a catastrophic way.
It's
you know what I mean?
It's so
perverse.
Yeah,
like
beyond perverse. It's like it is truly, even if you are an agnostic or an atheist, it is sacrilegious. It's almost sacrilegious in its
it's disgusting, even just from a human perspective.
It just goes against every law of nature. You know what it is? It is so purely distilled from the human ego and id. That's how it goes against the universe, literally. The idea that man could be God, that man is going to go against the natural order of things and is going to perversely reverse death, or think that it's reversing death. And instead,
or that's not even reversing death. It's like creating new life while also fighting death. It's like
actually
it's the worst possible thing you could do.
It's imitating a semblance of life. It's reanimation. It's imitating creation. Not life. Yeah. Reanimation is not technically life. Reanimation is just consciousness.
And that's why Frankenstein will be an immortal story that will never get old. It just won't.
It's the first science fiction story. It's the first like real modern horror story.
Give it up to Mary Shelley, man. Talk about
it's the goat. It's the goat, man. It really is the fucking goat. And you know what's funny? I've never read it, like the actual story.
You haven't?
I've never read the story.
You gotta read it. You gotta read it.
I have it upstairs with it's annotated. It's the annotated Frankenstein, which means that in the outer rim, and I just haven't cracked it yet.
I just realized that if Mary Shelley came back to life, which is funny in itself, and you said, "Hey, Mary Shelley, I've seen Frankenhooker like 30 times, but I've actually never read your whole book."
It's true, man.
It's funny. Yeah.
Although
you probably should read Frankenstein, Jeff. You've seen like the Universal Frankenstein, right?
Of course.
Okay, I'm just making sure you've seen the OG.
But the book is way different. My favorite version.
Have you seen the Robert De Niro Frankenstein?
That's my favorite one.
I like that movie, and people hate it. People hate that movie.
Love it. I am a diehard champion of that movie.
Because people hate that movie, right?
with a passion, and I literally will judge people. I'll be like, do you love that movie or do you hate that movie? And if you love that movie, like, you're one of the good ones. Yeah, Bob, you're one of the good ones. Because I got to tell you, I've
always loved it.
There's
so
no reason to hate it. There's no reason to hate that movie. It's so fucking great. It gets the same hate that Waterworld gets for some ridiculous reason.
Well, Waterworld's a masterpiece without question, so everyone can go to hell.
Everybody can go to hell.
Yeah, Waterworld rules. The cable guy was right. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. But but yes, I absolutely want to read it. I have it upstairs. You know how it is with books. You buy
my favorite
book, you just leave it up. You leave it.
I got you. I do that. I have tons of books I haven't read, but of the classics like that, I'm still a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde man. In fact, that might be my favorite of those ever. That might be my favorite book is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but Frankenstein is up there, man. Like it's up there. It's good.
Well, I'm really glad
it's great. What am I saying? It's good. It's great.
I'm glad that I have the annotated version, which, like I said, like gives you definitions for certain, like, difficult language, like all that sort of stuff. So you can have the commentary to go with the novel, which is, I just feel still
you should jump in naked. Just jump in naked to the original.
I will. I very much will. I know in the book, one thing I know is that they don't even like show what happens. We don't know the dark process. He just brings him to life, which I think is, what's kind of interesting, because maybe when Mary Shelley was writing it, maybe she couldn't imagine what kind of process could do it. And in her mind, like, why do I have to explain it? I'll just jump to
Mary Shelley inherently knew that she didn't need to explain the double mumbo jumbo.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
She just knew it just needed to happen. I don't need to explain how.
It just needs to happen. I don't need to explain how.
Whenever you have someone say, like, you know what, in Avengers, they didn't explain how the time travel worked. And you say, yeah, Mary Shelley didn't explain how the science worked in Frankenstein. What do you want? You don't need to. It's just that it's a plot device to get us there, to get us to where we need to go. That's it. Right. That's how you tell a story. I don't need to know the technical details of it.
I love that, man. I really do. I really do. And the thing that works about Frankenstein so well is that you can tell it's the story that I never get sick of this story. And it's a story that you can tell over and over and over again.
Have I ever told you this, Jeff?
So many different ways. Yeah.
Growing up. So my entire, this is probably super obvious, but my entire education on film growing up from two parents who were not into cinema was from my father, who only liked comedy movies. So for me, until probably like the aughts, I didn't actually know that Young Frankenstein wasn't the Frankenstein. I thought Young Frankenstein was just normal Frankenstein. So I assumed Frankenstein was a comedic character for a good portion of my life. I didn't know it was actually
you just thought Peter Boyle was the way.
I thought Peter Boyle was
the way.
Yeah, I did. I didn't, because my dad didn't show me the real Frankenstein. He just showed me Young Frankenstein 1,000 times. So
listen, I've seen Edison's Frankenstein. I've seen Whale's Frankenstein. And that's a beautiful thing about a story. People can come. There are some stories that, like, Frankenstein is such a universal story. Like, that could be adapted in so many ways. It's just there's so many different movies that you would never expect to be a Frankenstein story. Actually, that might be a really good top five Frankenstein stories that you wouldn't think are Frankenstein stories. You have to really think about it, but you have to go deep. You have to go deep. Yeah, it's definitely possible. In the same way that, like, look at like there's a universal nature to another James Whale film, and that is The Old Dark House. Which is the basis for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like, if you think that the Rocky Horror Picture Show is just that was no, that it's the Old Dark House.
I know.
Well, and Frankenstein and Frankenstein too.
It is obviously also Frankenstein.
I just was about to say it's also a Frankenstein movie. I totally forgot that.
Well, see, Jeff, it's like Frankenstein isn't just about that type of story. You could also say, like, it's become a metaphor for a lot of story tropes and premises. Like,
that's why
I'm trying to think, like,
5 Frankenstein.
This is a really weird one. This is why I'm a really weird one. I could use this, I guess, but I won't for the top 5. But you could say, like, Rocky 5 is a Frankenstein story.
Sure.
Rocky creates his own monster.
That's
out of his own need to keep fighting.
That's the
trope.
In
the form of Tommy Gunn.
That's the trope. It's
a metaphorical Frankenstein, right?
In the same way that you can have Die Hard with Christmas, you could have Alien or you could have Jaws. Frankenstein with boxing. That's what it is. So Frankenstein is one of those movies.
It doesn't mean body parts are sewn together all the time. That's the point.
No, it just means that you could. What it means, the heart of Frankenstein. There's a single sentence that could be at the heart of Frankenstein. It's that I created a monster that I can't control. That's it. That's what it is, and it's very most simplified form.
I would almost add in like the word either hubris or desire. Through those things, I created a monster.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
My hubris
against science, or my desire
yes.
to live again through someone else, or whatever you have. Like that's a metaphor you could write a billion.
Brian's got a great one. Jurassic Park is absolutely
Jurassic Park.
Science.
No, it totally is.
Science
corrupt. I mean, you know what? And if you even want to argue, you could say in the later movies they actually almost say that it's a Frankenstein story, because Dr. Wu says they're not dinosaurs. I made monsters. You wanted monsters. I made them.
Yes.
So they admit later in the continuity that they are monsters. They're not dinosaurs. And it's also a great way to explain why they're not scientifically accurate anymore. I've always thought that was great.
Bob, I think we're going to have to do this right now because we have two. We have Rocky 5. We have Jurassic Park.
I love that Rocky 5 is one of them. I love Rocky 5. Great. I don't care that Rocky 5 is hated. I like it. I'm a big Rocky 5 fan.
Is Karate Kid 3? No, Karate Kid 3 is not.
No,
it doesn't work.
Say that.
It doesn't work. It doesn't
as
work.
much as I adore Karate Kid 3. No, it does not.
It's just they're definitely they're out there. They're out there. They just need to be thought up. I mean, one could argue, okay, now here's where it gets a little. Now, what about vampire stories? Because a vampire that makes another vampire, and then that vampire turns on that vampire. That thematically, they overlap in some sort of Venn diagram. It's not exact. Oh no, you know what? It doesn't work. A vampire making another vampire.
Less. Yeah,
it works less. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. However, I would argue that the person that maybe it doesn't.
You
work
could argue
all the
like
time.
It would almost be
Victor Frankenstein is the monster. He's like human is the monster.
Anytime you have a Victor Frankenstein type character, and obviously a scientific character that is obsessed with the truth of the universe or something, usually has some sort of Frankenstein metaphor, like even down to Back to the Future, right? There is no Frankenstein monster, but I think you could argue that Doc Brown's obsession with creating something that works or finding time travel creates a monster, which is the vehicle itself, which he wants to destroy at one point, where he admits in the third movie, like, this thing has caused nothing but pain and trouble. Like, it's literally become a monster in his own
probably
life.
That is like, as it's a real stretch. I would allow
it's a stretch, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, his own scientific curiosity and even hubris created something that is out of control.
Obviously, okay, so both Bride of Reanimator and Return of the Living Dead Part 3 fall into this category.
Yeah, they're direct references.
Right,
yeah.
Direct. Yeah, it would be direct. That would
my personal favorite would probably be, if I had to think about it, would be Bride of Chucky, which
Bride of Chucky, sure.
If anyone has been watching the Chucky TV show, I'm not giving this on a spoiler. It's obvious throughout all of the movies, and especially now through the TV show, that Don Mancini worships fucking Frankenstein. He loves Frankenstein. Like, that is the reason Bride of Chucky is called Bride of Chucky, because it's Bride of Frankenstein.
Shit.
Like, he worships those movies.
All right,
so
Bob,
yeah.
I have one. Good. And I'm really excited to tell it. It's not one, it's a genre that I know we're gonna find. Ready? Okay. Anything like She's All That, which was written by
absolutely.
Yes, I love that you're on board with this.
No, totally. You create, like, I would say Jawbreaker.
Yes, that's
Jawbreaker.
It's not. She's All That is not. No.
But Jawbreaker, yes.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like the idea of
where, like, I made you, and then the person, the geek that they pulled out of obscurity turns into like an ego case.
Okay, that's number 3. That's number 3 for
Jawbreaker's number 3.
Yes. I love
okay.
This. May is on the list. It has to be. May is Frankenstein story. Like, It's not, although, however, it does not thematically work in that way.
Right.
She does not, the monster doesn't rebel. All she does is build a monster that comes to life at the end. By the way,
it can be as simple as that, but we're thinking more thematic.
No. It's the idea that you build a monster that you cannot control that turns against you. That is the formula.
Rocky V, right? Yes,
Rocky V. Obviously, Rocky Horror is there too.
Rocky
Horror. Rocky Horror.
Right.
God, what else? There's got to be.
It's like, you know what? As soon as we end this show, I'll think of like.
I know there's going to be like 1,000 of them, and
yeah.
It's just, oh man, I love that though. I love that is that is a thing. Even
it usually involves like a protege or something like that,
right?
I mean, Mean Girls, you could almost argue, is a little bit that too.
Sure.
Right? Yeah,
we will coin this the Frankenstein trope. That is what we shall coin it as. It's the Frankenstein. It's nothing that we didn't invent. It's just the idea that, what is this thing called? It's the Frankenstein trope.
Jeff, you really hit on it with the high school movies, because right now I'm thinking of Can't Buy Me Love.
Yes,
oh my God,
absolutely.
Can't Buy Me Love is such a he totally turns into an egotistical monster.
I mean, but that's
Dr. McDreamy.
That's literally what it is. It's like, you turn me into a thing that, and I forget who I am. Well, that's usually like the teen twist on it. It's like, I forget who I am, and then I got to get back to it.
The difference is that the monster doesn't end up dying. The monster usually, in those cases, the monster learns that they've gone too far. And
right. Comes to their senses and
become a good human again.
Right. Oh my God. Oh no, it doesn't work. I was going to say Grease. It doesn't work. Grease doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
A lot
of these. I'm trying to think of movies with makeovers, because makeovers would be the science scene in the Frankenstein metaphor.
Right.
And then that person becomes anew.
What about Weird Science?
I mean, Weird Science obviously is a direct reference.
It's a direct reference. It's not the Frankenstein trope.
Thematically, it is not Frankenstein, but it is.
No, it's not.
It is like Frankenstein plot wise, but not thematically. Right. But that was definitely an inspiration though. Frankenstein's an inspiration.
In Cobra Kai, the show, we have it with the young black boy.
Do it constantly. They do it
in a bunch of different ways. But I'm thinking of the kid.
Everyone on that show is creating Frankensteins that are constantly going back to
yeah, it's like an cycle. Endless circle. Yeah. Okay, Brian in the comments is saying, is Carrie pushing it too far?
Carrie,
I would say Carrie does not fall into it at all.
Well, who trained? I mean, I don't know. Am I forgetting Carrie? Did Carrie get
Carrie's
shown how to do it, or
no? Carrie just had a power, and her mother was trying to stifle it. Her mother didn't really create it. And here's the thing.
Okay, so wait, I see what Brian's saying though. I see what Brian's saying. Like the actual abuse to form Carrie into the daughter that the mother wants,
and then she rebels.
And she basically enacts her powers out of her mother's own need to control.
Okay.
Brian, it's not that bad, to be honest with you. It's not that bad.
I would say it works. I'd say it's 75%.
It's looser. It's looser. It's looser one.
It's looser like the one that Bob said. And here's another one. Christine. Christine almost works. What's his face? He has that Frankenstein-like transformation, but no one makes him like that. He doesn't have a Victor Frankenstein, which is why it falls through. You need the Frankenstein trope works like this. There has to be a Victor Frankenstein. There has to be a monster. There has to be a monster, and there has to be a part where they can no longer control the monster that they created. Those three elements.
And if the monster kills the Victor Frankenstein metaphor, then that's even better. You know what I mean? Like
those three elements are needed and necessary for the Frankenstein trope to apply and plug into any movie, really, in any kind of genre. They're Frank adjacent. They're adjacent. They're Frankenstein trope adjacent, I would say. Yes. They tick 2 out of the 3 boxes, but not all of the boxes, and that is the result. We need to talk about, yes, that is true. Rue Morgue, you are right. Glenn Danzig and Jerry did make Doyle, and Doyle is a Frankenstein's monster. It's perfect.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, Jeff.
Rumorg,
yeah.
Rumorg, I'll allow it.
So there can be real life Frankensteins, is what you're saying. What about Deadly Friend?
That's with the robot. That's the robot in the house. That's Wes Craven. I don't know.
You know, Amy, I haven't seen that movie since the early 90s, but I remember
very long
the only
time.
thing I remember is the robot throwing the basketball at Mama Fratelli's head and it exploding. That's what I remember from that movie.
It could be argued Terminator could be argued as Frankenstein.
It's like on a mass scale, but not in a character scale.
It's definitely not on a character scale. Although Terminator 2 is more, because they go back in time, they kill the dude.
I think that's
what do you mean?
Loose. It's a little loose.
They gotta kill the dude who friggin'
I know, but I'm just saying the themes of the movie to me don't really scream that. They don't really.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
Yeah,
fair enough.
They don't really scream what that is. Like humanity is the Victor Frankenstein there, but it's not what the movie is truly about.
Right. Yeah. It is a really fun sort of concept to play with and figure out. And
Jawbreaker's my favorite so far.
Jawbreaker's a great one. I just love the idea. She's all that. If she's all that, hold on a second. Freddie Prinze Jr. creates what's her face. By the way,
the thing is, she's all that. She never becomes egotistical and stuff. She never.
No, but she is not controlled. So we're missing the monster.
Right. It doesn't. She's all that doesn't work, but Jawbreaker
she doesn't become monster. Yeah. She doesn't become a monster. It only has 2 out of the 3.
Right.
She is created and she does rebel, but she
remains
monstrous.
a good person the entire movie, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and yes, I've seen She's All That way too many times.
Which is written by M. Night Shyamalan.
I know.
Which is the most amazing factoid.
Much like Stuart Little, if you didn't know that. So
wait, what?
He wrote Stuart Little. Yeah.
It makes me love M. Night so much more.
I mean,
and you know what's funny?
You gotta eat, man. You gotta work.
I hate to say this, like I love all of his fantastical movies and like his directed movies that he's directed, but I have to say, I think pound for pound and story wise, I think She's All That might be more airtight than some of the movies that he writes and directs. Not all of them, but some of them. I think She's All That just might stay. It's it's like formulaic, but like it holds up.
Talk about a movie that was like a staple of aughts television. Like I saw that so many times.
It's more like aughts, right.
Aughts,
like 1999, 2000.
Like Comedy Central from like 2000 to 2005.
Hack.
It's just
sack.
right. Yeah. But yeah, I would go with Jawbreaker. Jawbreaker has a much clearer Frankenstein vibe to it. So
listen, we need to land this airplane, but this is fucking. I love this conversation. I love how this conversation went.
Yeah.
This was such a fucking fun, creative exploration of Frankenstein that I was not intending.
Right.
We still need to discuss the very end of Frankenhooker because of like where everything lands and what it's
what makes the movie honestly like great and it has a good spirit is because of where it ends.
Yes. The movie up to this point could be, you could flip a dime as to whether it's gonna how nasty or mean-spirited or ridiculous it could possibly end up. Mm-hmm. And instead we get this incredible Tales from the Crypt, Just Desserts karmatic message thrown right in
for this guy we've spent way too much time with.
Yeah, we've like literally been in his head.
Yeah.
In
his very empty head. It's not
very empty. He's
not
drilled
a complicated
in it.
Man.
He's not a complicated man. He drives home after collecting his bride to be, who's literally his bride to be, who has walked off trying to find a date. Mm-hmm. By the way, we forgot to mention a huge element, a fun element to this Frankenstein mythology is that she's charged with electricity. It's a combination. This is what I interpreted. It's electricity and super crack that's mixed together in some way, shape, or form, so that when she kisses, fucks, gets head from,
she makes people explode.
She makes people explode. And
I think it's important too. What I like about it is that just like Frankenstein's monster, he's really not out to hurt anyone. He doesn't know his own strength and he's scared, right? And she is not out to kill anyone. She's just doing her natural job of
crime directive. Her crime
right.
directive
like
is to find a date.
Evil. She doesn't want to hurt anyone, but if she touches anyone, they explode.
Well, it's just,
or if she gets worked
solely,
up. Right.
She's like AI, which like in the idea that like an AI, like if you program AI to like be the best like envelope sealer, like, you know, we just want you to seal envelopes, AI, but then AI gets connected to the internet and determines that human beings stand in the way of doing this job perfectly, and therefore we need to eradicate humanity, and does so just so it can lick the perfect envelopes and stuff them and whatnot. And, you know, human beings extinct for 10,000 years, and an AI has literally expanded across the universe, just stuffing envelopes, doing its one perfect task the way it's supposed to do.
Right. Yeah.
And in this case, she just needs to get a date. She just wants to get a date. She just wants to turn a trick. That's it.
She's not trying to kill those men.
She's not trying to, but boy, if you don't have a date for her, she doesn't want nothing to do with you. Get the fuck out of my way. That sort of thing. Yeah. And of course she meets a bunch of scuzzbags that are asking for it, you know.
Which I'm saying is an important thematic thing towards like what Frankenstein originally was. He is not he's not Dracula. You know, he's not trying to maliciously do things to people.
There's no malevolence in,
he's not
Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
He is which, you know, again,
he's a scared animal that's reacting to what is being thrown at him.
Confused and disoriented. By what he is and where his place is in this world and whatnot, and trying to make sense of it all. And again, just shows how brilliant Mary Shelley is. In any case, she finds herself back in the city, and Zorro kind of in this really, as Bob stated, Zorro figures out in this really ridiculous way, like kind of what's going on, because he's like, yo, my bitches exploded. They literally exploded.
His reaction is so odd to it. Yeah. It's like, okay.
He's like, look, this is proof that she exploded because look at her arm. Where did she get that from? This guy tries to like rape the, oh shit, I said the R word. This guy forces himself on the
YouTube flag that?
They will sometimes. This guy tries to force cunning linguistic stuff onto Frankenhooker, and he explodes too. We get back to the lab in the garage, and Zorro follows Jeffrey Franken and Frankenhooker there, and he chops off Jeffrey Franken's head. It's one of those movies. You know what it is? There are movies where everything happens in the last 5 minutes of the movie. I don't know if there's a term for that. Sometimes,
no clue, but you're right.
Sometimes it's wonderful. Sometimes it works, especially if it's like a shorter movie. They jam pack like 15 different things that happen in the last. You're literally looking at the running time going, how the fuck are they? How is this going to wrap up?
I think in the case of Frankenhooker, it works because
it works very well. It works very well.
It's the tone, and it's a comedy, and
the
fact that the movie is funny and weird and gory and silly up until then, it brings us through that. We don't need that much plot for a lot of those scenes. Like they work just being what they are, whereas you could do everything at the end that really the thematic punches at the end. And that's fine. You know, you don't need
the third act of the movie literally happens in 5 minutes.
It's like 5 minutes. Yeah. It's right at the end. So it's fine.
So, you know, Jeffrey Franken loses his head. His head gets chopped off by a machete via Zorro. The body part monsters, very similar to Bride of Reanimator, they come crawling out of the purple goo bathtub.
Right.
And they drag him in, and this big beefy man is somehow powerless to these
things,
which look like Screaming Mad George creatures. Straight up,
they kind of are a touch of society in them, you know.
Yeah, like, that's Screaming Mad George. Mad George in society. They absolutely look, and they're fantastic, and they're wonderful, and
wonderful.
And
the one that's like the anus belly with
the mouth it was great. It was the mouth,
beautiful.
And they have a crack party inside this thing, and I guess they somehow kill. Like, we don't know what they want with Zorro. I guess they just want to kill him because
they just want flesh, man. They need to merge. They need to merge with the flesh.
All hail the new flesh, right? And so Frankenhooker,
and it fades to black after that, right? Doesn't
it?
Fade to black?
You finish it off. What happens, Bob?
Well, no, it's not really anything. It fades to black, and it fades back, and then we're on Jeffrey's head, and you can see that his head has been reattached to something.
Yeah, we don't know
and then,
what.
You know, and then it zooms out a little bit, and you see that he's got a giant set of boobs. And then he's like, "Oh, what happened to me? What happened to me?" And then she says, "Well, you left instructions, and it was really easy to figure out, and now you're back with me."
Right. So she brings him back, but also
brings him back. Yeah. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say that the serum, the blood serum, the purple blood serum, is estrogen based, meaning that Zorro's body and Jeffrey Franken's body were worthless, useless, which might be one of the weakest parts of like the very flimsy story logic here. However,
it's fine.
It very much suits
as long as it gets to his head being stuck on a woman's body,
right? Which is why we need this to happen. She says, "Look, the only thing I could do was use body parts." Mind you, there's literally a plate of breasts that he sorts through earlier, and like a trash can full of legs. It's just, the lack of respect.
It couldn't be more blunt in how showing how men, how men view women as objects. Is a man sorting through a pile of breasts,
right,
looking for the best ones.
And he just, and so now he's like, you made me into a woman, like, blah blah. And what she does, much like what she does when she's mirroring. Because, by the way, when he reattaches her head, Zorro punches her in the head, which knocks her block off, literally knocks her block off. And when he reattaches it, she suddenly has all of her
dispenser.
Right. And she has all her memories back. And he's explaining to her what happened and trying to, like, he's rationalizing it. And mind you, he's doing it from a pedestal of like, nothing bad has ever happened to me. So, and I'm saying, hey, calm down, baby. It's all going to be okay. Look what I did for you. I gave you a better body.
Like I said, he treats this whole thing like it's a good thing,
right?
Like it's all happening. It's great.
It's net good. Everything's good. And and she's like, she's not happy, but she doesn't get a chance to really process her feelings because Jeffrey gets his head cut off. And so she karmatically reciprocates by sewing his head on to a female body and then recites word for word everything that he just said to her.
Right.
And that's the movie. And he goes, oh!
And he has to live in his one hell, which is he views women as almost things, as inhuman. And now he has a body of a woman. It's his own little personal hell, right? I mean,
I guess, yeah. I mean, that's it, man. Like, and
his body has been taken from him for the amount of bodies that he has taken from others.
Yeah, it's just
it's a karmic
you're straight up Tales from the Crypt, just desserts ending, and it's just
karma, baby.
Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. And it's a wonderful note. I love that Frankenhooker, it's so easily watchable. It's a quick, brisk 85 minutes.
It's a party movie too. Like
party movie for sure.
It's great watching it by yourself, but this is a movie where like a revival screening, don't skip
or get a couple of your friends together with a nice cheesy pizza and a couple glasses of Coca-Cola.
It's exactly that movie.
Sit down and laugh, because you want to and part of the reason why Bob and I do this and why it's so enjoyable is that you literally want to turn to someone and process what it is that you're seeing and enjoy the ridiculousness. And that's part of the wonderful communal experience of watching ridiculous movies with other people. You want to be able to revel in the ridiculousness. It's a lot harder to do that alone.
But it also like, I think the reason this is enjoyable is because a movie called Frankenhooker, a movie that like that, you don't think you can actually wring out any pathos or theme or actually good-natured thing from it. but it's actually, you can. There's a lot of great themes in here to be found, and it's one of those things where it's like I fear what people on the kids on the internet watching this now, I fear their take, because I fear that they wouldn't see those themes and realize it's making fun of misogyny and everything. You're not supposed to be with this main character. He is a bad person and kind of a hollow shell of an idiot. like he knows science, but he's
terrible human being.
He's a terrible human being, and he should not be revered, and you should not relate to him in any way.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. That is true.
Yeah.
You can find, first of all, Bob is on, we talked a little bit about screenwriting, and again, I guess I'm slightly ambivalent, but don't want to be. Like, I want to be proud of like the idea that I have come up with my own name for something that probably has already existed.
And probably, if it does, I didn't know about it.
It probably already exists, but if it doesn't exist, the idea of the the Frankenstein trope.
The Frankenstein trope, yeah.
Yeah, it's the Frankenstein trope, and
it probably has a name, but we
it probably has a name. Yeah, I don't want to take credit for it or anything, but like the idea but we came to this idea on our own, an epiphany on our own, thinking about it. You know how that can happen sometimes. And this was really fun, and Bob explores all sorts of mechanics like this all the time on his own show, Writer's Blockbuster. With very talented co-hosts. The three of them, they put their heads together and they talk movies and break down script.
Those guys talk, and I add some stuff every now and then.
You add so much. You're the heart of that show, Bob.
Thank you. And if you want to listen to that, I would say just the best thing to do is follow me at Thundergrunt Bob on IG or Twitter, and go to the links on my
links in description. Go to the link tree. Okay.
My link tree is my website. Go to the link tree. It'll have everything important.
So if you make it this far, and if you are a writer or screenwriter of some kind, this is a must listen show.
Thank you.
And has to be checked out, as well as all of the whole world of Thundergrunt is at your fingertips if you wish to jump into that dimension.
Specifically Writers Blockbusters, though, for this purpose.
Yes, specifically for this purpose, for sure. I'm going to play us out with the Patreon. Bob, stick around for 2 minutes and 35 seconds, and we'll see you. Thank you, everybody, for enjoying. I have to say, this might be one of my favorite podcasts I've ever done. I really enjoyed. Who would have thought that you could figure out and like break down so much stuff from a movie like
Frankenhooker?
Fucking great. Like that just goes to show there's a lot of
podcast, man. I thank you for anyone that listened to it. Brian and Amy and Rue. Thank you for listening.
All you guys. Peace, hair grease.
I'm going to go pee while you play it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Jeff. So I've decided to make a Patreon. What is Patreon? I don't know how to define a Patreon. Let me look it up. Patreon is a membership platform that makes it very easy for creators to get paid for the things that they're already creating. I want to do it full time. I want this to be my full-time job. In my efforts to make that happen, I've set up this platform. Is it going to work? Is it going to be successful? I don't know, but I would rather try and crash and burn than not try at all. The goal is to create enough passive revenue so that I can continue to do this full-time, uninterrupted. Why? Because I love to do this. I love creating content. I love making videos. I love shooting films. I love doing podcasts. In case you couldn't tell, I love to talk and I never shut the fuck up. So right now I've kept the Patreon incredibly simple. There's 2 tiers, and that may change in the future. The Murdergram is a simple way to extend support for all of the hours and hours of free content on the channel for nothing more than $1. 38 cents goes to Patreon. What's $1.38, eh? It's less than a cup of coffee, but it's a great way that you can show support for very little effort. When you divide that $1.38 by the hours and hours and hours of time spent listening to this endless drivel of content, the dollar cost average works out. Next up is the YouTube casualty for $6.66. The YouTube casualty is loaded to the gills. Enjoy the archive ad-free, as well as ad-free early access to special docu-style podcast videos, music reaction commentaries, and the like, a month before they drop on YouTube, loaded with ads, I might add. You're also going to get exclusive content and behind-the-scenes content that is not available on YouTube or anywhere else. So you get to peek behind the veil. And believe me, there's a couple of choice pieces. Most of all, more than anything, whether you join the Patreon or not, I just want to thank each and every one of you that comes to the channel, that watches all the shows, that leaves comments, that participates, that subscribes. That's really the most important thing. This is just trying to find a way to earn a living as an artist. And with that, thank you for my TED Talk. Join the Patreon, because we need you!
66 cents.